If you don't like it, there are plenty of other teams that work remote. Alright, I'm not posting this one on main. Because stupidly I've used that username way too many places. So, this story is, as the majority of these are, the direct result of Manglement having no idea how their employees work. Background. At the time I worked on an on-site desktop support team of about 13 people. These are your IT guys that typically wander around your workplace and go fix your computer in person. I had done this job for about a year before the pandemic hits. The Rona hits, and of course, 95% of my job's workforce is either moved to entirely remote work or a hybrid schedule. Now, what does that mean for a primarily on-site second-tier IT support team? Well, for one, it means that a lot of our workload shifted to being remote work. Secondly, it means that if something did need on-hand support, we'd need to schedule that user to come into the office. And thirdly, it means that a lot of larger projects come to a grinding halt. Now, transitioning a workforce of thousands to remote work on a dime was, for all intents and purposes, a nightmare. We had to distribute thousands of laptops amidst multiple supply chain breakdowns and teach a pretty aged workforce how to use VPNs. Needless to say, we absolutely rocked it despite all the hurdles. We spent a year plus of the pandemic managing hybrid schedules. Basically, for that entire time period, each one of us was on site at least 2 full days a week, and then coming in for an hour or two at a time for appointments with users if they didn't fit into our normal days. This worked out for everyone. Almost none of our users were ever regularly on site. We always had 23 people in the office at any given time for emergencies. And we smashed through ticket queues. Our team was heaped with praise on all sides. But this wouldn't be a malicious compliance story if that was the case. Now would it? Malicious compliance. So, after having rocked support IT during a pandemic and receiving praise from every department, Manglement remembers a project that we've been putting off: lifecycle replacement. LCR. Lifecycle replacement is the fancy IT term for replacing computers when they get too old. We were supposed to start a massive LCR right before the pandemic. But due to some rather ridiculous moves on the part of Manglement, they dissolved the lifecycle team into desktop IT. It got delayed. Now they are in full panic mode and demanding massive quotas of LCRs are completed each week. Despite 2 mitigating factors. 1. We are not receiving enough computers in the first place to meet those quotas. 2. It's hard to force masses of employees who've had a taste of work-life balance to come into the office to replace a whole computer with their whole working lives on them. So, quotas are not being met. And Manglement is beginning to sweat because their bosses are wondering why this thing that was supposed to be finished a year ago is barely even starting. Manglement decides that clearly desktop is to blame, and thus send out an edict that we are all to be on site 8 hours a day 5 days a week or else. Now, unfortunately, our whole team had gotten used to not having to pay for parking downtown every day. And we had realized that if the whole rest of the workforce is still working remotely, that us being in an empty building every day was completely pointless. We voiced our concern to our supervisor, who, being the dutiful mouthpiece of our mangler, immediately set up a meeting with the whole team and themselves. The meeting went a little like this. Coworker. So, we're a little confused about this edict you've sent out, that we have to be on site a full day every day. You guys have been praising our hard work throughout the pandemic, and I think we've shown that we can responsibly manage hybrid schedules. Mangler. With people moving back into offices, we've determined there's a greater need to have your team on site. And with the ticket backlog, we need to make sure the manpower is there to support the staff. Coworker. But the backlog is due to us not having the equipment to distribute to the employees, as well as the majority of employees still working off-site. There's nobody around for us to regularly support. Mangler. Well, unfortunately, these positions were always meant to be an on-site position. Me. So, will you and supervisor be on-site all week as our main line of support? Mangler. Our job positions don't necessitate us to be on-site, so we'll be coming in as needed. Me. To address your point about ticket counts, I wanted to point out that I pulled completed tickets for April pre-pandemic and April during the pandemic, and we actually completed more tickets working a hybrid schedule. Mangler. Look, this was always meant to be an on-site position. If you don't like it, then there are plenty of other teams who offer remote work. Me. So, if we don't want to pay for gas and parking downtown every day, we're free to find other positions in the company that fit our needs better? Mangler. If you want to discuss this further, then you can schedule time to meet with me when I'm in the office next Wednesday. Needless to say, the entire team was furious. We had rocked the pandemic, been told how efficient we were, and then were being punished because Manglement didn't want to explain to their bosses the concept of supply chain issues. I immediately began searching for another position in my company, and very quickly found one that utilized some of my more niche skills with a very cool supervisor. I have ended up in a job that I have carte blanche to run as I see fit because I'm the only person with necessary experience to do so. But it doesn't end there. Throughout the pandemic, our team had been whittled down to maybe 9 of the original 13 people. Once I left, that left 8. 3 more followed suit and joined the remote help desk team, leaving 5 original team members. Fallout Manglement decided at that time, since the primary focus was LCRs, that they could just hire a bunch of low-paid interns to fill in the empty spots. Now, the second whammy to this whole shebang is that recently our union had a new contract coming up, and Manglement apparently didn't take much time to read the new contract, because the contract forbids using interns to do the work of full-position union members. So now desktop team consists of 5 original full IT employees and 5 interns who are only allowed to image computers. Their ticket queue still has tickets from June. TL. Dr. IT monkeys do great job supporting thousands of people during pandemic. Get rewarded with worse working conditions and told to find another job if they don't like it. Majority of competent team members find another job. Old team is ruined. Typical management doesn't understand how IT or IT geeks work. Never issue an ultimatum if you aren't prepared for it to be accepted. So many times I read these accounts and can infer exactly the moment when the author and their team think about the management in question, this is going to go so poorly for you. And I wish to myself, should I ever be in that position to voice that opinion out loud. I'm sure all of the great work pivoting team came along with big pay raises, yeah? Sarcasm. Same with us. Redeploying old-ass laptops or desktops for users to bring home. Then complain the desktops don't have built-in Wi-Fi, etc. All said and done. High praises. Proving work from home is plausible and practical. But, yay, please come back into the office. I switched departments to be hybrid now, and also trying to not go in at all as I keep getting pulled over to help with desktop items. But I'm not desktop anymore. And because it's still hybrid, not enough people on site and submitting tickets to warrant an on-site tech. I'm adding manglement to my work vocabulary. Thanks op! Exclamation mark. Management strikes again. This whole subreddit needs to be the core subject matter for a case study that corporate subsequently uses to enforce some inane policy. This is the exact same position I'm in, with the added bonus of temporary moves deployments being actively blocked by management. Now I am taking a new permanent position on a different team. Management isn't happy, but I don't want to drive in. And as soon as you try to restrict my career progression, I want off your team. Time for you to submit some tickets as to why your equipment hasn't been upgraded yet. Sounds like somebody's up for the Mismanagement of the Year award. I could not help but hear, in the background, "Everything is awesome." Yeah, I remember ordering laptops in March and getting them in August. That was fun. Also for LCR. Our Tales from Tech Support will love this smiley face. Same story here. When they needed remote IT they were fine. But now it suddenly doesn't work? Well, my team get based from home. They go on site if required to. Not to office. On site at customer. And it lets them manage their own daily, weekly schedule. The more efficient they do remote work or home to client site, the less traveling or on site they do. The hardest bit is getting new staff to understand it's a benefit of self-organizing to go on site maybe 2 part days a week instead of most days, and that it's not a sit home and only home. What really gets on my goat as a team lead is all these "remote is good for me but not for you." Why? Wouldn't you want your mostly remote team to be as happy as you working mostly remote? Supple chain issues, lol. And management guy got promoted? LCR was somebody's bonus item. People don't quit companies, they quit bad management. I ordered my new work computer as part of their replacement program in March and still haven't gotten it.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.